With the release of Sonic the Hedgehog 3, I have now seen 37 brand new films this year, and I'm going to rank them from worst to best. Now, this is all my opinion, this is all subjective. Film is a wonderful construct of what is considered good and bad. If you happily disagree, please let me know in my comment section down below. I know that some of my takes are going to be extremely outrageous. There are a lot of films on here that I was surprised about how much I've enjoyed them. But if you guys do enjoy this video, hit that like button. I'm trying to get this video to at least 5 likes so I can understand what my audience does like and doesn't like. But without further ado, let's get her ranked. And by no shockers here, it's gonna be Borderlands. Now, listen, there's one thing that I like, and that is the costume design. The costume design was phenomenal. Other than that, though, Borderlands was unwatchable. I can't explain how much that it doesn't matter what a movie's budget should cost, but if your movie looks like fucking shit, which this one does, like you can see the green screen outlines and whatnot, but it is just simply unwatchable to the point where they make a "he's right behind me, isn't he" joke. And I only sat in my theater for 45 minutes before I was like, yeah, this doesn't deserve my money, and I'll go see the other movie that I was really, really excited for, and you'll see much higher on this list. But to me, Borderlands is simply the worst film I've seen all year. The acting is atrocious. The cast is simply miscast. There is no reason why a 59-year-old actor should be acting as a 24-year-old. No harm to whoever her actress was. I don't even remember her name. Kevin Hart playing Royland. I mean, I'm not even that big of a Borderlands fan, but that just seems like a miscast because Royland is a giant buff dude and Kevin Hart is 5'9". So yeah, Borderlands worst film of the year by far. Coming in the number 36 spot here, and to kind of a shock that it's not in last place because it was my last place up until I walked out of Borderlands, which I have never walked out of a movie before, so that was pretty shocking that Borderlands was the first time I've ever walked out of a movie theater and wanted to get my money back. But this film almost made me do that, and that's Madam Web. Simply just unwatchable. Like, it's so bad that it's good almost, but it's boring. Like, there's nothing interesting going on. The best part about the movie and all of its entirety is Adam Scott, and that's just because I'm a big Parks and Rec fan, and you got him right there on the cover. So, but yeah, he's the only part about that movie that I enjoy. Whenever he's not on screen, it's boring. Dakota Johnson seemed like she was just trying to get money, and I don't blame her. I mean, Marvel gives out the big payday, so. But yeah, Madam Web, some of the worst ADR too. Like, I turned to my buddy, and I just said, wow, this is some of the worst ADR I've ever heard in a movie. And he didn't even know what ADR was. I had to explain to him what ADR is. And one more thing before I get on, really funny story. So me and my buddy, I was like, we love watching bad movies together. And I was like, hey, let's go see Madam Web. It's bad. I heard it was really, really bad. And we walked out of the movie theater just so disappointed that we spent money on this, that we decided to drive an hour out of our way to go see Tenet, because Tenet was doing a 2024 re-release in certain IMAX theaters, and so we decided to drive an hour out of our way to go see Tenet, and we were 20 minutes late to that movie, but still way much more enjoyed Tenet than we did Madam Web. And when we were finished watching Tenet, we maybe talked about Tenet for like 5-10 minutes before we started trashing how we went and saw Madam Web. So we were still pissed that we went to go see Madam Web. Madam Web, if it wasn't for Borderlands and making me walk out of the movie theater because that movie was just fucking atrocious, Madam Web would be dead last, but because the one redeeming factor is my boy Adam Scott, R.I.P. He died in Brooklyn, Queens. Get it? Because Uncle Ben gets shot and never mind. Number 36, Madam Web. In the 35 spot here, I've got Despicable Me 4. Now, to me, it's just a cash grab. I mean, at this point, the franchise is just, you're milking that dead cow. You know, you're sucking it dry. Nothing works in this movie. The villain is mediocre. The plot with Gru and his baby is just whatever. And the fact that they've announced that the girls aren't going to age just makes these films bland, boring. Like, the first two films are fine, and the third one I really dig just because of Trey Parker. I'm a huge South Park fan, but nothing works in this movie. Like I said, you're just milking that cow dry. Number 35 is Despicable Me 4. There's not a lot I can say about it. In the 34th spot here, I've got Kung Fu Panda 4. Now, I took my siblings to go see this movie mainly because I'm not going to go watch a kid's film by myself because I don't have the necessity or the want to. But to me, it was just fine. I mean, Jack Black gives a Jack Black performance, voice acting performance. Aquafina is annoying as all shit, but that's just because her voice is like nails on a chalkboard. You kind of want to just sock it out of your brain. But it was alright. I mean, a couple of the dad jokes really got me. I love it when, spoiler alert, but when Poe's real panda dad and the Mr. Ping are on the little side quest. I mean, that's easily the highlight for me, is because it's just so funny to me watching two dads be dads. There goes my popcorn bucket. But yeah, this is yeah, it was fine. It was decent. If I am ever doing a Kung Fu Panda marathon, I'll probably watch it. But other than that, it was just fine. Rounding out the bottom 5 of my list, because holy shit, that was so bad it was good, was Kraven the Hunter. Now, I really enjoyed Kraven the Hunter for the most part. It's fun, it's brutal, it's violent. The bear trap kill that he does is super cool. Russell Crowe is just so funny with his Russian accent. It got a good chuckle out of me a couple of times. Aaron Taylor Johnson is ripped as all shit. And the first like 10-15 minutes could have made for an awesome short film. But this is Sony, and this is not a 10 to 15 minute short film. This is a 2-hour long movie. And boy, does it tread very, very poorly. The pacing is so atrocious in this movie. There's like a good 30 minutes we spend with young Kraven, and I wasn't signing up for that movie. I want to see Kraven killing people. You know, it was a good movie for like 10% of it, and then it just dove off a cliff. I really liked Rhino. Rhino gives like one of the most hilarious performances I've ever seen. There's a scene in which he's at a table, and I don't know what noise this man gutturally sounded, but that sound was not what I was expecting it to be. That was just a weird sound effect. Yeah, Kraven the Hunter, so bad that it's actually good. Unlike Madam Web. In the 32nd spot, I almost forgot to include this movie because I completely forgot that I watched it, was the Roadhouse remake. Now, I will say this, Jake Gyllenhaal, fun. Conor McGregor, give him the best supporting, I'm just messing with you guys, but give him the best supporting actor Oscar. I mean, dear Lord, he had me on the floor laughing with how many just memeable and funny moments this man had. I mean, the meme that was going around for the "Where the fuck is everyone?" Hilarious. 10 out of 10. But I completely forgot that I watched this film until I was going through my Letterboxd, which, by the way, link down below. You can see the ranking in its entirety on my Letterboxd and the small reviews and snippets I give for the films that I saw. But I completely forgot that I watched this film to the point where I almost forgot to log it. But yeah, it's just whatever, it's generic blockbuster, action. It was on straight to streaming, I think. So it's just one of those movies that was straight to streaming. But yeah, it was perfectly fine for what it was, a streaming movie that definitely didn't need to be made again. Because Now, here's the first shocker on the list. Number 31 to me is Challengers. Now, I saw a lot of people loving this movie, and I mean a lot of people. But to me, it just didn't work. I don't know if the day I was watching it just didn't click in my brain. I was the only one in my theater, fun fact, watching this movie, so here goes to show how well that probably did at the box office. But to me, I just simply didn't like it. It's well acted. It's well shot. It's the score. Chef's kiss. I really dug that score. And I'm a sucker for a good sports movie. I love Fighting with My Family, The Longest Yard, The Water Boy. So sports movies have a special place in my heart. But to me, this one simply just didn't work. The story was confusing. It just didn't make sense to me as to what was going on. And it felt like the characters were simply unlikable for the sake of being unlikable. I despised Zendaya's character so much because it was so confusing as to what her motives were throughout the entire thing. If you guys can explain to me in the comment section if what was going on, because I simply must have fallen asleep or was tuned out because something wasn't clicking. And the tennis, I will say, very cool. Like, the tennis matches had me on the edge of my seat the end. I was like, ooh, who's gonna win this one? And ooh, who's gonna win that one? But yeah, this one just didn't click with me in the right wavelengths that maybe it did for other people. If you guys can give me some comments down below saying if I just simply was wrong, let me know, because maybe on a different day I could rewatch it and I'd like it. So, but yeah, number 31 is Challengers. Number 30, oh boy, I'm surprised this one isn't in dead last, but if it was, my friend would hate me for this one because she absolutely loved this movie. Red One. That was sure a Christmas movie starring Dwayne The Rock Johnson and Chris Evans that cost 250 million fucking dollars. Nah, I'm gonna be honest, it was just fine. I really enjoyed the action sequences. The characters are the like CGI characters are really cool. I really enjoyed the polar bear whenever he was on screen, and Krampus had some standout moments. I loved Krampus, and I will say the villain is very memorable. Like, she's the one that sticks in my mind. I'm like, oh yeah, Red One, the one with the witch. Yeah, she was phenomenal. I really enjoyed the villain, but it's what bothers me is that this is a $250 million production and it just doesn't work. I mean, Dwayne Johnson is one of those actors that I'm not the biggest fan of. I mean, there's some movies of his that I enjoy. The Rundown, The Walking Tall. Yeah, I love those movies. Fast and Furious to an extent. I love how shitty those movies are, but that's besides the point. Red One to me just feels like a culmination of just genericness. Like, if you've seen it, you've felt it. I really, really enjoyed J.K. Simmons as Santa, though. He's a standout. And that Farmer One commercial, fucking hilarious. 29 is Furiosa, Mad Max Saga. Now, Furiosa, very well acted. I really love Anya Taylor-Joy as Furiosa. Chris Hemsworth was just fucking hamming it up, and I loved it. But to me, what makes Fury Road work so well is that it's spectacle. It's phenomenal. There's something in it that just sticks out of my head, whether it be Tom Hardy, with the gas chain, and here it just didn't click. It just felt really, and I hate to say this word a lot, but it just felt generic. Like, Furiosa has the story and the characters just well acted, but it's just missing something that clicks to make it work. It's like a missing piece in the puzzle that just doesn't fit. And I will say this cinematography, though, was phenomenal. I really enjoyed the cinematography in it, but to me, it just wasn't clicking. But Chris Hemsworth and Anya Taylor-Joy make it watchable enough to give it a good old pass and a thumbs up on a good Saturday night afternoon. And at number 28 here is Godzilla X Kong The New Empire. Now, I go to these movies for the Kong and Godzilla action. You don't really care about the human characters, but when your movie has to be 35% human characters, it just drags it down a whole lot. The humans just make it unwatchable. I mean, I go to these movies to watch Kong and Godzilla destroy worlds because let's be for real, Godzilla is our Lord and Savior because he could destroy us in one fell swoop. But what made Godzilla Minus One work so well, and this is just different. I mean, those are two completely different movies. One's a war story, the other one's generic blockbuster number 395. But to me, it just doesn't work as well. But it is watchable. Like me and my grandmother watched it on like I think a Sunday afternoon, because she loves these movies, and gotta figure out something to watch with her. And she enjoys these movies, so I watch them with her, and it's just fine. It's just fun. I get to spend time with my lovely grandma, so shout out to my grandma. I love you. But yeah, number 29 is Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire. 27, Trap. Now, I really dug the first hour and 10 minutes of this film. When Josh Hartnett is this, serial killer, and he's trying to, escape all over the place and trying to figure out ways to evade the cops and, trying to escape this concert. It's phenomenal. However, there's two things that happen that just utterly piss me the fuck off in this movie. One, he walks right past a bunch of cops. Spoiler alert, but there's a scene in which he goes into this meeting room and all these cops are together, and you would think that they would know that the serial killer they're tracking down is right there in front of him, and the other person is, everyone talks like this. I'm convinced M. Night Shyamalan has never had a conversation with an actual human being after watching this film, because everyone talks like this. Yeah. Entertaining now, isn't it? Also, the third... Fuck, that was the popcorn. God, I'm gonna put you right there. But the last 45 minutes just brought it down. Like, it would have... I think I gave it 2.5. So, if, like, that third act was a lot better written, I would have given it, like, a 3.5. But to me, it was just... whatever, because it went on way too long. But yeah, number 28 is Trap. 26, the Garfield movie. I liked it. It was fun. It's entertaining. The fact that Garfield got his own mainstream movie in 2024 is great. I really enjoy the voice acting. Not really. Chris Pratt is Chris Pratt in this. He's just voicing Chris Pratt. The side plot with John calling, all these people and he's being put on hold, relatable as all hell. It's really funny. I'm a sucker for a couple of the dad jokes. Like I said, I love a good dad joke when it comes to kids' movies, and so if you can tell a good dad joke, you're getting my approval. But at the end of the day, it's just not something I'll rewatch. The Garfield cartoon back in the day was really good. I remember enjoying that on Netflix when it was out. And I just saw this on Netflix, and I was like, I need to get some more movies watched before the end of my year, and this is one of them. But yeah, it's watchable. If I'm like ever with my siblings or like I need to babysit them, boop, Garfield movie, because Garfield is fucking lit, dude. What's that one character from Family Guy? That's Family Guy from she likes Garfield. Oh, I love Garfield. Garfield's fine. It was watchable, and that's all what I'm gonna say about these middle films, because it's just hard to give my thoughts out when it was just alright. But yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying this video. If you guys are, make sure you guys hit that like button. I am going to try to get my top 5 wrestling matches of the year out. As you guys can see, I'm a huge wrestling nerd, and I even went to Wrestle Dream in Tacoma this year. And as I'm filming this video, I'm going to a DeFi show tomorrow here in Seattle, Washington. So if you guys do like this video and the others that I have planned for 2025, hit that like button. Also, you can catch me streaming Dark Souls 3 from time to time. I am trying to beat Dark Souls 3 for the first time ever with my character, Ashley Cupcake. you guys have been helpful in that adventure, so I really appreciate you guys giving me tips and pointers. I have been grinding off screen, so once we get back onto the streaming grind here on YouTube, it's gonna be a lot easier. But yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying this video so far. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Spot here, we've got Imaginary Friends. Now, I really enjoyed this film on initial watch. I mean, the fact that you got John Krasinski directing and writing already has me intrigued, especially if it's a kids movie. Like, I was like, that sounds interesting. So I took my friend to go see it with me, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was really watchable, really funny. The imaginary friends are really creative, and the fact that we got Grimace memes out of it was chef's kiss. But the thing I found out on rewatch is that once you watch it the first time, it's not as good as the second time because you notice the glaring issues with it. The plot just is not very kid friendly. I mean, you're dealing with illnesses and death and growing up. God, I don't want to go to a kids movie for all that bullshit. I go to my adult movies for that. But yeah, it moved a lot down my ranking, but I really enjoyed this film. I gave it a 4 when I initially reviewed it, but I gave it like a 2.5. But like I said, I really liked it. And Ryan Reynolds, by the way, gives a really good kid performance here. I love when Ryan Reynolds does stuff that isn't his typical shtick, like Buried and the Amityville Horror and a lot of other things that Ryan Reynolds doesn't do, except for you, Green Lantern. Fuck you, Green Lantern 2011. But yeah, no. Ryan Reynolds gives a really good performance in this, and it's just overall a really good time. I really enjoyed it. Number 24. Now, I didn't know if I should include this or not, just for the main fact of it being a comedy special, and that was Joe Rogan's Burning the Boats. This was hilarious. This is my type of humor. Joe Rogan is just one of those people that I thoroughly enjoyed. I really got into the UFC this year. On my birthday this year, I went to go see UFC 297, and ever since then, I've watched every single UFC pay-per-view this year. I'm a big sports fan, as you can clearly tell. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed his special here. It's really funny. The joke that revolves around Fear Factor had me on the floor. I was dying of laughter. But I didn't know if I should include this, but I am going to include it. So yeah, it's just a comedy special. You know what you're getting into with these. If you laugh, it's good. If you don't laugh, boo, get off my stage. All right, in the number 23rd spot here, and my most disappointing movie of the year is Terrifier 3. Now, after watching the movie and after watching reviews, it will eventually move up, whether the sequel is good or not. But the ending, which I'm not going to spoil here, just left it after I left the theater, my Letterboxd review says it all. All I gotta just say is, what the fuck? Now, Art the Clown, phenomenal. The fact that the kills are as gory as they are, chef's kiss. I love me a good practical set piece. But to me, it just felt like a lot of overkill, if that makes sense. With Terrifier 2, you got that perfect blend of it, but like here, it just goes on, and you just want it to end. We get it. He brutalizes people. And if I ran into Art the Clown, I would not want to run into that motherfucker because, dude, he just brutalizes you. But man, does it just get annoying because I'm just sitting there in the theater and I'm just like, yep, he's dead. We ain't get it. And to me, it gets disgusting. It gets weird. It gets gross. It feels like someone's fetish is being played out. I will say this, the fact that Art the Clown killed Santa Claus that way was fucking brutal. And the shower sequence is a standout, but again, it just goes on for too long to the point where you're just sitting there. You want it to end because it's just so fucking gruesome. Yeah, I was just so tired by the end of it because it just felt so unnecessary, if that makes sense. Now, maybe it's just not my thing. I might get flamed for this one on the comment section too, same with Challengers being low on this list. But yeah, Terrifier 3 was my most disappointing because all I had to say after it was just, what the fuck did I just watch? Boy, a movie that is a movie. Joker Folie à Deux in the 22 spot here. Man, oh man, I wanted to like this movie. I actually do like this movie. I really enjoyed the acting. The musical sequences are fun and vibrant. Building a mountain is one of the most energetic sequences in the film. I really enjoyed that sequence. The opening, Looney Tunes cartoon, I was like, ooh, okay, this is gonna be good. And then the last 15 minutes happen, to which I just left that theater going, damn it, Todd Phillips, why the fuck can't you do sequels right? Because it just doesn't work. I mean, the fact that Arthur just shits on everything that made his character so well in the first one, and I get that this movie is to troll the fans of the original. I'm not even that big a fan of the original Joker. I thought that movie was fucking overrated as hell when it came out in 2019. But the fact that it made $1 billion speaks volumes because it is a DC character that is very beloved. But to me, Lady Gaga is so wasted in this movie. It just feels like unnecessary. Like, here's Lady Gaga so we can do musical numbers, and she's just not Harley Quinn. When I picture Harley Quinn, I picture Kaylee Cuoco or Tara Strong or Margot Robbie. Here, I don't see Harley Quinn. I just see a random girl at Arkham. And that's essentially what she is, spoiler alert if you haven't seen the film. But it just doesn't work. But I do enjoy the movie. I am a sucker for a good courtroom drama. One of my favorite films that came out a few years ago, the Ted Bundy movie that came out on Netflix, is one of my favorite movies just because I'm a sucker for a good courtroom drama. So to me, this is just meh, alright, good. If that, can you even fucking do it? Meh, alright, good, yeah, woo. But yeah, Joker Folie à Deux here in the 22 spot. Boy, I'm gonna get flamed for this one by my friend. Beetlejuice is by number 21. Before she fucking gets pissed at me, I really enjoyed this movie, and thanks for taking me to go see it with you. It was a really good movie. But there's other movies that I enjoyed better this year, and I really, really enjoy the Michael Keaton is back in Beetlejuice. He's funny. He has some of the most hilarious standout sequences of the film. The Richard Marx dub that he does is so hilarious. It had me on the floor laughing. And the actual plot line is actually really engaging. Jenna Ortega continues to improve her career worth with another fantastic performance in this movie. I thought she was a standout. The different animation styles we get and the different types of art we get, like the stop motion and the, simple practical effects. But there's certain characters you can cut out of this movie, and the movie works just as well. The Willem Dafoe character you can cut right out, and the one that rebuilt yourself. I'm not. I barely remember the movie. It's been a while since I've seen it, but the character that was the Frankenstein Beetlejuice's girlfriend. That's it. The one, she could have easily been cut from the film, and it works just as fine. But this movie was enjoyable. Don't get pissed with me that I placed it in 21. She's probably pissed that I placed this in 21. Fuck. 21. Beetlejuice in the number 20 spot, and the first film I saw this year on my birthday because January gets the shittiest movies. The Beekeeper. I really enjoyed The Beekeeper, man. Take a shot every single time they say Beekeeper in this movie because holy shit, you'll be deader in the ground than 10 Stepsisters. Man, oh man, this movie was just so much fun. I got D-Box seats, which are the ones that, move around and stuff. And man, oh man, from beginning to end, I was just smiling with glee. Jason Statham, fucking great in this movie. He gives one of the best action, you know, dialogue sequences in this film, whether you're talking about the ending or the sequence where he's on the bridge with the guy and the guy gets fucking crushed with the water. Oh man, oh man. From beginning to end, I was just smiling ear to ear because this could be a franchise and I would love to see it turn into a franchise. It has that elements that make it into a franchise series. I mean, you have the background of Jason Statham as the Beekeeper, which is this organization. I mean, this could easily turn into a franchise, and I would not be disappointed because this movie fucking rules. And if you watch it with some of your closest friends, you'll just fucking, oh man, you'll have a blast. I love the Beekeeper, but unfortunately, there's just some glaring issues with it that I had. The beginning was pretty depressing. I had a couple of traumatic experiences happen last year, and so watching that kind of disappointed me and just brought me back to a terrible time. But like other than that, I love this movie. I thought it was a blast. So much fun, so much mayhem. Man, if this becomes a franchise, this is one that I'll happily buy my ticket to again because I love this movie. The Beekeeper. Real quick before I give you my pick for number 19, make sure you guys hit that like button. I'm trying to get this video to 5 likes, so I just want to make sure that you guys are liking the video so far. Give me some feedback as to what I can do to make these a little bit better. But as for number 19 here, I have Venom: The Last Dance. Now, I took my little brother to go see this because he really loves Spider-Man and Venom. I think Venom's his favorite character. And I really do enjoy these movies. I think they're just schlocky B-movie fun. The dialogue between Eddie and Venom always get a huge laugh out of me. But the villain, if you really want to call them that, the Null was so disappointing. I was expecting a little bit more. And it did come out that there was some like production issues behind the scenes stuff. Like, I'm surprised that they got Andy Serkis to voice Null, which was really shocking because he was the director of Venom: Let There Be Carnage, which I think was the best Venom movie, but that's besides the point. But the dynamic between Eddie and Venom makes it really fun. The dance sequence in Las Vegas is hysterical, but it doesn't really make sense if they're trying to hide their identities and stuff. But it was good to see Mrs. Chen. The fact that Venom develops a gambling addiction is extremely hilarious to me. But yeah, overall, it's just fun. Like, a lot of these movies that you're going to see, there's not a whole lot I can say about them because they're just all in that 3-star to 3 and above range. So it's going to be hard to describe. But yeah, number 19 is Venom: Let There Be Carnage. Number 18 here is going to be Moana 2. Now, I had little to no expectations for this movie. I'm not a huge fan of the first one because my siblings would watch it on loop. The amount of times I had to hear "You're welcome" and the stupid chicken. Oh, dear Lord. But you know what? I will say this about the sequel. As long as my siblings don't watch it on loop, I actually think it might be better than the first one. I mean, it develops this world a little bit more, this island world. Develops the gods a little bit more, which I thought was really cool. The songs aren't as memorable, but Maui's song that he has been stuck in my head on loop. Chihui? I don't remember. It's been a while since I've seen it. But I did get a good Thanksgiving memory. I did get to take my little sister to go see it, so she had a blast with it because she just loves Moana. But yeah, the water isn't as good as the first movie. I was really surprised, but the animation is really good. I didn't stay for the mid-credit scene or any of that. I didn't even know there was a mid-credit scene. I thought the movie was over, but every movie in their mind nowadays has to have a mid-credit scene, so I guess I missed out on, I guess, the return of the crab from the first one, whatever his name is, Shiny Dude or whatever. But yeah, Moana 2, solid sequel. Not bad, not good. It was just right down the middle. In my 17th spot here, I've got Maxine, the final movie in the X horror movie trilogy that came out this year. I was surprised to see this movie getting a lot of hate. It's not bad, but it's certainly not good. The twist was really kind of predictable because of how they set it up and stuff. But the gore and the kills were just really, really good. The scene in the alleyway, oh, no fucking thank you. But yeah, it was just alright. I would say this is one of the better trilogies that I've seen, though. The fact that we got X, Pearl, and Maxine really develops this world into a really unique horror movie franchise, because Maxine is already going to be one of the greatest final girls of all time. But it was just different, and it's good to see the 80s, and I think it was, yeah, the 80s projected as like a sleaziness, as not really vibrant, colorful like we're used to seeing. So yeah, number 17 is Maxine. Number 16, and I'm really shocked about how much I really enjoyed this movie, was Lisa Frankenstein, the Dylan Sprouse, Cole Sprouse, one of the twins, and the girl from Ant-Man, like, love story kind of thing. It was really, really cool. The whole premise of her having to sew the body parts back together was really fun. The vibrant synthic that it has with the hairstyle and the costume design and just the neon color aesthetic really like was eye-popping to me. The fact that this was directed by Robin Williams' daughter made it even a little bit better because Zelda is a phenomenal director, and I want to see more from her because this is a phenomenal directing job by her. The writer was known for like Juno and stuff, and not my favorite films. She has a really good writing style to where like it gets the message across, and the ending was just really really weird but stupid, but it was also kind of you know poetic in a sense. But yeah, it was a really overall surprise. I was not expecting to like this as much as I did. In fact, it was in my top 10 for a while before other movies I saw, and I had to move it down to obviously the number 16 spot. Oh boy, now we're getting to the heavy hitters, the hard hitters, the movies that I enjoyed so much, but you have to rank them somehow. And at number 15, I got Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. I really enjoyed this movie. I took my grandma to go see it with me because we're big Ghostbusters fans. And yeah, this movie is just a fun ride from beginning to end. Paul Rudd trying to act like a stepdad is just so funny to me. Like, that was easily the highlight of the film. I will say this, I do agree with a lot of people. Please, if we're gonna continue the Ghostbusters franchise, I want to see these new characters. I love the original Ghostbusters, and it was good to see them get their ending in Afterlife. Having them in Frozen Empire just doesn't make any sense to me. They're taking up too much screen time, and my grandma, who's a big Bill Murray fan, he's barely in the movie. Like, why do we need the original Ghostbusters in these besides, money, money, money? But I thoroughly enjoyed this film. I'm really excited to see where they take it. It just felt like an episode out of the Ghostbusters cartoon from the late 90s, and you can definitely tell that. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed Ghostbusters Afterlife and Frozen Empire. Oh, I caught myself there. Oopsie daisy. But yeah, number 15 is Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Number 14, and somewhat kind of a disappointment to me, considering how much the trailers made it look like it was going to be this epic saga, but it just felt really disappointing and slow, was Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Now, I really enjoyed this movie. I really enjoyed the orangutan character. I don't really remember his name, but he was super good, and the voice acting and motion work with him was phenomenal. But once they kill him off, spoiler alert, but once they kill him off, the movie just comes to a halt because we have to introduce Cesar and Proximus Cesar, and I'm gonna be honest, I did not like this character. I thought he was really memeable when everyone was quoting, "What a wonderful day." But other than that, I thought he was a super disappointing villain. And the fact that all he wanted were these, like, he wanted to open this vault just because it had guns in them, just didn't make a lot of sense. And especially because, that's not what Cesar was known for in spreading his message in the original films. And the overall fact that we open with this funeral to set the fact that this is the same universe. I will say this though, I'm a huge Maze Runner fan, and so the director of this movie, Wes Ball, does a phenomenal job directing it. I still will argue that the Maze Runner trilogy is a top like 10 trilogy to me because that film series means so much to me. So we'll see where it goes. It could move higher or lower on my list of the Kingdom or the Planet of the Apes films, just depending on how the sequel goes. But like once we finish the movie, I'm like, I just want to see more. It's not satisfying enough because I want to see more now after I've seen Kingdom. So that's why it was somewhat of a disappointment. But overall, I did thoroughly enjoy this film, and I can't wait to see where they take the sequel. Number 13 here. Now, I did give this one 5 stars. This is the only 5-star in the lower half of my listing, just because it's kind of hard to rank it on a set of films. But that was the Bray Wyatt documentary that released onto Peacock, and there's not a whole lot I can say about Bray Wyatt. As you guys can see behind me, I'm a huge wrestling fan. In fact, these are my WWE DVDs, and these are my AEW DVDs. I even got my boy Jay Briscoe, Mark Briscoe, RIP to Jay. I hope we get a documentary on him soon, because Jay Briscoe is one of my all-time favorite wrestlers after that FTR versus Briscoe Brothers dog collar match. But there's not a whole lot I can say about Bray Wyatt. When he was a wrestler, I wasn't the biggest fan of his, but the way that this documentary delved into his life and, Bo Dallas especially, it hit hard, especially at the time that I watched this. But this documentary was just fulfilling, and it made me like more of a fan of Bray Wyatt than it did lessen it. So I really respect Bray Wyatt as a visionary. He just had this creativeness to him that you couldn't really do in wrestling, but he just made it work somehow. Comment down below your favorite Bray Wyatt match. My favorite, personally, is the Firefly Funhouse match at WrestleMania 36. But yeah, Bray Wyatt, just a phenomenal human being, and Wyndham Rotunda, rest in peace, man. You are a legend, and I hope you make it into the Hall of Fame eventually, because holy snikes, your career was awesome. And yeah, rest in peace. But yeah, number 13 is the Bray Wyatt documentary. Number 12, and the last film that I watched on this list, was Alien Romulus. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of Alien. I think the first two are great, and then you can just toss the rest of the sequels. But man, did this surprisingly work for me. I will say this, it is really, really slow. But once the alien action kicks in, holy moly, I was gripping my knees really hard, because I was watching this on an iPhone 16 Pro Max. But yeah, the film is phenomenal. Fede Alvarez just continues to do what he does in the horror world really well, surprisingly. Like, the way that Zero Gravity sequence was phenomenal, and I really liked the alien that said dad jokes. Like I said many times throughout this video, dad jokes is the number one way to my heart, and he says a lot of dad jokes. So I really, really enjoyed this film. The last 10 minutes or so, I just kind of wanted it to end. I didn't need the whole baby alien thing. That was just fucking weird. But I thought it worked really well, but like, I just wish the movie kind of ended sooner. I think you could shave off like 15-20 minutes of this film and it still works. But yeah, overall, great atmospheric horror. Whenever they shoot to the outside and you hear nothing, just peak alien, just space horror. So number 12 here is Alien Romulus. Barely missing my top 10, and I'm surprised that I enjoyed this as much as I did, Twisters. Now, when this movie came out, I wasn't planning on going to see it. I love Glenn Powell and whatever he does, so I eventually was like, okay, fine, I'll go see it. In fact, I saw it the day after I saw Deadpool and Wolverine, and they ran out of the Wolvesy popcorn buckets, and I really wanted one. So instead, on my shelf over there, I've got a Twisters cup from that night. So I finally went to go see it, and man, this just had me gripped from beginning to end. The storm chase sequences are phenomenal. Glenn Powell just has so much charisma to him that you kind of can't just look away. And anytime you give me, cowboy hat with Glenn Powell, I want that framed on my wall behind me. Like, next to my record player here, I want that framed on my wall, because Glenn Powell just has so much star power to him. But yeah, number 11 here is Twisters, just a phenomenal blockbuster. I grew up in Texas, sort of, so, tornadoes and stuff are very common. Not where I was personally from, but they were very common. You would hear about them. So yeah, but yeah, just overall so much fun. Like I need to rewatch it because like I've only watched it the one time in theaters, but man, would I rewatch this in a heartbeat. Number 11, Twister. In the number 10 spot here, I've got Inside Out 2. Now, this is again one of another things that I went and did with my siblings. I took them to go see Inside Out 2 because they would just not shut up about how much they wanted to go see it. So I caved in and I took them to go see it. And I really enjoyed the first Inside Out. That movie is just really, really impactful. I would say it's the last decent, good Pixar film. But I was really, really nervous going into it because I wanted to see what they were going to do, what the plot of this one was going to be, and it won me over instantly. The whole growing up aspect, dealing with different emotions, and the sequence in which Riley has a panic attack and breakdown I've never felt more fucking real. Like I started tearing up a bit, and my siblings had to ask why I was crying. They don't know what panic attacks are yet. They'll be fine. But yeah, Inside Out 2, really beautiful too. We saw this one in 3D and this one was kind of cool. The visuals are beautiful. The whole brain puns and stuff were really funny. Like I said, give me some puns, and the new characters that they introduced, like the locked up emotions and different characters of Riley's surpassed past and suppressed emotion joke is funny. But yeah, number 10 here is Inside Out 2. In the number 9 spot here, I've got the Netflix special that released with Sabrina Carpenter for Christmas. I think it was a very merry Sabrina Carpenter Christmas. And the fact that they go through her Christmas album was funny to me. Like the different types of jokes that they incorporated were really funny. I thought it was very, very unique and different than most Christmas specials. There's not a whole lot I can say about this. It was a 60-minute short on Netflix, but I thoroughly enjoyed it as a brand new Sabrina Carpenter fan. So yeah, overall decent. It was fun. I had fun with it. I laughed a lot. I sang along too, and Buy Me Presents is one of my favorite Christmas songs now. So thank you, Sabrina Carpenter, for adding that to my Holly Jolly Christmas playlist. But yeah, Sabrina Carpenter Christmas special on Netflix, number 9. In the number 8 spot here, I've got Lord of the Rings, War of the Rohirrim, the anime Lord of the Rings film that released. Now, I ain't gonna keep it a buck with you. I've recently become a Lord of the Rings fanboy. I even got some posters from my coworker over there. It took me so long to get into this series, but holy moly. I spent the months of September through November watching the extended editions of these films, and it was worth every second. I would spend a majority of September through November getting excited for the new Lord of the Rings film, and so I figured why not watch the original trilogy. I have yet to watch The Hobbit, so that's on my list for next year. In fact, this one includes the Hobbit trilogy, so I'll make sure to do that next year. But but speaking of Lord of the Rings, War of the Rohirrim, I thought this was just great. The anime style works really well. I'm not the biggest fan of anime, but it worked surprisingly very well. The characters are intriguing. The main antagonist is so unbelievable. You just want him to get his comeuppance because holy shit, was he just so good. The king was phenomenal. One of the best characters in fiction, in my opinion. His final battle with the villain was just great. And the hero of the story, she's really pretty, like surprisingly very pretty. But yeah, there's not a whole lot I can say about this because that was just a phenomenal movie. The member berries at the end with Christopher Lee as Sauron and them going to see Gandalf, I thought was pretty funny. But there's just little member berries like, remember these guys? Remember we're gonna go meet these guys. Remember? Oh, I remember. But yeah, member berries aside, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie, and I think it's a great addition to how we found out that Helm's Deep came to be, because I think that's the most interesting part about The Two Towers and why The Two Towers is my favorite movie, because I really love Helm's Deep, and the Battle of Helm's Deep is so cool. So yeah, easily one of my favorite films of this year. Just in my opinion, is a little bit cut down, but yeah, just a phenomenal. Oh, I can't glaze this movie enough. Lord of the Rings, War of the Rohirrim, phenomenal. Number 7, Bad Boys, Bad Boys. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad Boys Ride or Die. Man, oh man, this is my action film of the year. This had everything I wanted it. Stellar camera work with some of those sequences, amazing action sequences. Reggie gets a standout moment in this film that had me jumping in and out of my seat when I watched this at home with my grandma. But yeah, overall, just a phenomenal action movie. The plot is very derisive of other action films, but it surprisingly works given the fact of what happened in the last movie. But I will say this about the movie. They missed the perfect opportunity to call the third one Bad Boys Ride or Die, and this one Bad Boys for Life. I've been saying it, bro. They mixed the fucking titles backwards. I hope you guys reconcile with me in the comments down below about that, because that just, how are you not going to do Bad Boys Ride or Die for the third one, because they're coming back after 20 years, and then Bad Boys for Life for this one? Just makes no sense to me. But yeah, the subject matter, and it's funny, surprisingly. They addressed the Will Smith Chris Rock slap in this, and I was on the floor laughing. But yeah, overall, my pick for action movie of the year, because there's just some action sequences in here that like are just straight out of Call of Duty or a video game, and they work so well. But yeah, Bad Boys Ride or Die is my number 7. Number 6, the movie that I've seen the most in the last 2 weeks, Sonic the Hedgehog 3. I love this film. From beginning to end, it works. Shadow is one of my favorite Sonic characters, and so this movie just delves into his backstory, and they follow it pretty faithfully to the video games. I never really played the video games, but I have been a fan of the first Sonic movie. I think Sonic 2 is really, really bad, but that's just my personal take. But this one just gets right back into what I love about it. The Jim Carrey sequences are extremely hilarious. The fact that he is playing both Gerald and Ivan Robotnik works for me. Keanu Reeves, I don't think works as Shadow as much as it should, but it's really good for the most part. The line that I quote the most is "Revenge Guac," because that's just funny to me. Keanu Reeves is okay in his Shadow, but he's just been doing the same voice since John Wick, and I wish he would do more with it, if that makes any sense. But yeah, the fan service in this for fans of the video games and stuff, like, I'm not the biggest fan, but I was like, oh yeah, live and learn, and you know, the whole posing, and you know, Super Shadow was awesome. But yeah, overall, just a phenomenal movie, and it's a good way to end the year, with that being my last movie that I watched this year. So yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog 3, phenomenal. I want to go see it for a third time, maybe I'll go by myself. I'm just messing with you guys. But yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog 3, great movie. Not a whole lot I can say about it, but yeah. Also, before I end this, really good CGI. Like, these don't feel like CGI creatures out of the blue. They actually feel like real things, which is surprising because it's all CGI. Like, these look like real things that I could be out in the real world. And the mid and post-credit scene had my family, me and my siblings, you know, excited about what's next. If this is Jim Carrey's last film role, I mean, he goes out with the home run, man. He's out of the park. But yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is my number 6 pick. In the number 5 spot here, oh no, Dune Part 2. What a movie. I mean, I saw Dune Part 1 with my buddy in IMAX, and so we went out of our way to go see it in IMAX, and the first part just sets up this world and all these possibilities, and it just got me so excited. The politics and the lore. In fact, I'm still reading the book. I did pick up the book, so I'm still reading the book, but man, there's just so much in this movie that I want to explore, and the world is just vibrant. I haven't watched the HBO Max series, but the final sequence of this movie with Austin Butler's character, the villain, just may thou knife, chip, and shatter. Just so many memorable sequences in this film, whether you're talking about the sand riding scene, which we got a sneak preview for at the Dune Part 1, when we went and saw that in IMAX, but holy moly, the sequence in which it's in black and white on that one planet with Austin Butler and he's killing all these people. Oh man, it just had me excited. And you know, Timothy Chalamet just gives this such tragic character, because Paul Atreides is a tragic character. He's not the hero, he's a villain. And you can see that as he progresses, and Zendaya's character gives a really good, another Oscar-worthy performance. Just overall good. And if this movie doesn't win for best editing and best sound editing and best musical score, I'll be upset. But it's just phenomenal. I've never been sucked into a world that's just so cool. Like, it's not like Star Wars, where, to me, I think Star Wars is slightly overrated, but like, even like without Dune, we wouldn't have science fiction as it is, and so it's just so fucking cool. Yeah, Dune Part 2, just a phenomenal, epic scope. Just, I can't wait to see what they do in the final film for this trilogy. But yeah, Dune Part 2, just phenomenal. And I did get the popcorn bucket. Number 4, oh boy, I might get some hate for this one. Wicked. Now, my grandma is a huge Wizard of Oz fan. I love my grandma. You'll hear me talk about her a lot in this video, as you've already mentioned. Love you, grandma. I was not excited for this movie whatsoever. But I told her, I was like, hey, you know, if I take my little brother to go see Venom, if I take my little sister to go see Moana 2, I gotta go take you to go see Wicked. I was not excited for this, and as we were getting closer, I was getting kind of excited, you know. I was like, I might like it. In elementary school, I had to sing the final song of the musical for a performance in elementary school, so I know the final song. And you know, I like Ariana Grande as a singer and a actress. I think she's really good in Victorious for what little she is in that show. But I just really wasn't excited. But man, during the beginning sequences, I was just hooked in. And we went to a really late screening of this. I think we went to like a 9:45 showing. And so we saw it in 3D, and it was so cool. It was so magical. I've never been like sucked into a world like this since maybe like Lord of the Rings earlier this year, because this world is so cool and the music is just so vibrant and it adds something. Whereas Joker 2 fails, this movie succeeds because Joker 2 is just a jukebox musical, whereas this one is original songs, original performances. And man, I would love to see Ariana Grande win Best Supporting Actress in this, because she just gives a phenomenal performance in this. She has these moments of snarkiness, but once she becomes friends with Elphaba, man, like, when the movie ended, I wanted to go see it again for a second time, because I thoroughly enjoyed it so much, and I thoroughly wasn't expecting to enjoy it. This is my biggest surprise of the year, because of just the camera work, the fluidity, the acting especially. It was just phenomenal. And Defying Gravity is one of my favorite sequences. If only I didn't have to use the bathroom, because I had to use the bathroom like 20 minutes left, and so I missed the majority of that. But man, I want to go see this again, because it was just so good. My grandma's actually going again tomorrow, so as I'm filming this. But yeah, shout out to you, Grandma. I love you. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. And I hope you enjoyed your Christmas that I got you. But yeah, number 4 here is Wicked. In the number 3 spot here, and my most controversial pick of this entire list in most people's eyes, The Crow remake. I really love this film. Whether it be the action and the cinematography, it's all on point here. I love how it's a different take on the story of The Crow, which developed into this, was originally a comic book based off a tragedy. And, you know, I love how that tragedy is different in this version. And I will say this before anyone gets pissed with me. I really enjoy The Crow 1994. I also gave that one 5 stars, same as this one. I love that they're both different versions of the film while working for me. I might do a deep dive into why I do enjoy this film and why I think it's an understood masterpiece. But to me, it's a tragedy. It's, everything that I hoped it would be. Um, whether you're talking about Bill Skarsgård's take on Eric Draven, which I think is damn near Pennywise levels of iconic to me, whether it's, Shelley and, her different backstory to where she's a drug addict. It's a tragedy, and that's what I really loved about it. The whole opera house sequence was phenomenal. I didn't see many of the trailers, but it was spoiled in the trailers, so I thought that was pretty unique. I love the design and the design of the crow. Yeah, I really love this character, and I love the world of the crow, and so that's why I personally enjoyed it. The villain is a little bit lackluster, but he's super cool in my opinion. He has these like whisper powers, and he makes people do things just by whispering. I thought that was cool. Just need a little bit delved into it, but it's a tragedy, and the whole sequence where he rises back and he gets that one last chance to be the crow was so cool, and it just had me out of my seat and experiencing some things. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed The Crow, but these other two films mean so much more to me. But yeah, The Crow, phenomenal movie. Doesn't deserve the hate because I think it's a different take on what The Crow is, but to me, it works perfectly. But number 3 is The Crow. In the number 2 spot here, Deadpool and Wolverine. This is the vinyl, that's the Blu-ray. To me, this movie is perfect from beginning to end. I was extremely skeptical when they announced this movie. I'm a huge fan of Deadpool. In fact, the thing I'm propping my phone up here to shoot this video with is a Deadpool Funko Pop. I don't know if I can show you. It's the X-Force version of it. And I really enjoyed Deadpool 1. I think it is one of the best comic book movies of all time. It is just so reverent and funny. Ajax/Francis, me and my grandma quote, Francis, all the time. I have so many just Deadpool Funko Pops. I have him on a unicorn. I have him as Bob Ross from when they were promoting Deadpool 2. I mean, I am just a huge fan of Deadpool. So when they announced that he was going to the MCU, I was like, shit, here we go. They're going to fuck up Deadpool. They're going to Disney-fy my boy, because Disney doesn't know how to make movies nowadays. And in fact, here's some more proof that I like Deadpool, because I got Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe again. I don't have that many comic books, but yeah, I just saw that like right there. But I was so nervous going into this, and my fears were wiped away within the first 5 minutes of this movie. That is the best opening sequence I've seen at 1 o'clock in the morning of all time. We went to a 1 o'clock IMAX showing of this movie, and it was perfect from beginning to end. The fact that it's a tribute to the era of Fox movies that I personally grew up on, like I grew up on the X-Men and, Fantastic Four and, just all these different films. I'm glad they were able to see those characters one last time. Gambit's so fucking funny to me. I love that character, and I've become more of an X-Men fan since watching this movie. The mid-credit scene had me like tearing up a bit. I've had the soundtrack on loop the entire year. The Bye 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 sequence, like I said, beginning is probably one of my favorite opening sequences to a movie ever. The final act with all the Deadpools was cool. The jokes land. I'm a sucker for Deadpool's humor, and it just worked for me. I really love Deadpool and Wolverine. But my number 1 spot is kind of shocking. But in the number 1 spot, and my personal pick for best film of 2024 was The Fall Guy. I was going back and forth between this movie and Deadpool and Wolverine. But to me, when you add a couple things into a movie, that makes it work for me. 1, I love that this is a movie about filmmaking. Right now, I'm getting into filmmaking, and I'm working on a couple of short films, so to me, seeing that side of movies is great. The fact that it focuses on stuntmen especially, phenomenal. But the stunts worked for me, the humor worked for me, everything about this movie worked for me so much. Ryan Gosling gives a great performance in this, Emily Blunt gives a really good performance in this. Aaron Taylor Johnson as the villain of this was so funny to me, because I saw that coming from like 5 minutes away. I was like, something's gonna happen to where like he's the villain, and I'm like, yep, because he's the douchebag actor, kind of like Tom Cruise. I mean, sorry, what? But yeah, no, I thoroughly enjoyed this film. The stunt work especially is phenomenal, and the behind the scenes in the extended edition just really worked for me. But yeah, this is my pick for best movie of 2024, and I hope we get more films like this. And apparently, it was based off an IP that I didn't even realize was an IP. And those are the kind of movies that I want more. I want more original concepts, but if they're based on IPs, don't tell me that they're based on IPs, because I didn't even know this was a TV show from the late 90s or 80s or whatever, because it just worked for me so well. The action sequences, especially the one where he's on the truck with the dog, is just great to me. But yeah, 2024 is all wrapped up now, and yeah. With that being said, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you guys did, hit that like button. This was a ton of fun to make. I had so much fun just going back and looking at all the movies that I saw, from the bad ones to the good ones, the great ones, you know. But I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Like I said, we're trying to get this to 5 likes. I will be posting some pictures and stuff from the wrestling show that I went to yesterday at the DeFi show. Fun fact, I actually got to meet the Outrunners, and I appreciate those boys so much. The fact that they went from Florida to Seattle in one night just to give us some entertainment for a couple of hours, you know, thank you, Outrunners, for that. But thank you guys for a wonderful 2024. I finally got my YouTube channel back after a few years, because back in high school, I just uploaded some Family Guy content, and my channel got taken down. And so I kind of got back into YouTube again. You know, I got to do the AEW Universe Mode series, which was a lot of fun to do, but that series has come to an end, unfortunately. I'm not continuing that going forward. I have enjoyed doing the Dark Souls series with you guys. That's been a lot of fun, but everything about this year has been great, you guys. I appreciate every single one of you that has liked and subscribed. I do have a lot of short form content on my channel as well, just to give some extra content while you guys are waiting for the bigger stuff. I will be doing a lot more recording of video games, and I hope to do more face cam videos like this, but the only time I have my face cam up is when I have my phone with me to help record. I'm hoping in 2025 I can save up some money to get some, you know, better equipment, some face cam stuff, some green screen stuff, and hopefully I'm out on my own eventually, and, you know, this isn't what you see as my setup for right now. 2025 is going to be a big year for me, and I know that. And I enjoy doing this. You know, I wouldn't do it if I didn't have fun, but I just have fun recording and talking about movies and talking about video games, talking about wrestling, and, you know, this is my outlet for that. You know, I get to talk about it with my stepdad with wrestling and, you know, movies and stuff with my grandma. But she doesn't understand the, you know, current local aspects that go into it and stuff, and why I personally love film. I mean, film is just one of those things that I've enjoyed since I was 4 years old. I mean, one of my favorite movies of all time is Big Daddy. That's one of my all-time favorite movies. But yeah, my Letterboxd will be linked down below this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you guys for a wonderful 2024. Hope to make 2025 the best year yet for this channel and watch it grow and blossom. But yeah, I will check you guys out later. Make sure you guys live life to the fullest, because life is short, and that doesn't mean we need to be assholes. Love you guys.